They say that thousands of years ago, a carpenter named Shi was traveling through the state of Qi when he came across a monumental oak tree. It was so wide it could provide shade for 1,000 oxen, and so tall its branches brushed the clouds. The carpenter's apprentices were speechless. "Master," they shouted, "with this wood we could build the largest ships and the most luxurious temples in the empire. It is the perfect tree." The master carpenter didn't even stop. He looked at it with contempt and kept walking. "That tree is useless," he said. "Its wood is too heavy to float, too hard to carve, and if you try to make furniture with it, it will rot in a week. It is an insufficient tree. It is completely useless." That night, the spirit of the tree appeared to the carpenter in a dream and whispered, "You call me useless? The trees you call useful, like the fruit tree or the cinnamon tree, are beaten, stripped of their fruit, and cut down prematurely, precisely because of their usefulness. Their perfection is their death sentence. I am insufficient for your purposes, and that is why I am still alive. That is why I am a giant. My insufficiency is my greatest treasure." I have a question for you. How much of your life have you wasted trying not to be that tree? You live in constant fear of not being enough. You aren't productive enough. You aren't successful enough. You don't have the perfect body or the bank account that the system says you should have. You are exhausted from trying to be useful for a world that only wants to cut you down and turn you into firewood for its own benefit. But what if I told you that your insufficiency is your greatest wealth? What if the secret to freedom wasn't being the best, but learning to be wonderfully incomplete? Get ready, because today we are going to discover why being insufficient for the world is the only way to be sufficient for yourself. You are trapped in a race that has no finish line. You've been sold the idea that excellence is the only valid currency, that if you aren't optimizing every second of your day, you are failing, that if you aren't a perfect tool for your company, for your partner, or for society, you are worth nothing. It is a psychological trap designed to keep you in a state of perpetual anxiety. Taoism has a word for this: rigidity. When you try to be perfect, you become rigid. You become like a dry branch that snaps in the first strong wind. Insufficiency, for the Taoist sage, is the flexibility of life. It is the right to be nothing specific so that you can be everything. Why do you feel bad when you don't finish your to-do list? Because you have placed your value in your utility. You see yourself as an object that must produce results. The Tao invites you to stop being an object and start being a process. The process is not perfect. The process flows. And in that flow, insufficiency stops being a factory defect and becomes the space where life actually happens. Look at a wine glass. What makes it useful? Is it the glass? Is it the design of the stem? No. What makes the glass a glass is the void inside it. If the glass were filled with solid crystal, it would be a beautiful piece of decoration, but it would be useless for drinking. Its wealth resides precisely in what it lacks, in its insufficiency of matter. You are that glass, but they have convinced you that you have to fill that void with degrees, possessions, and a perfect personality. You are filling your glass with cement, and then you complain that you have no room for joy, for peace, or for creativity. Lao Tzu said that what is incomplete becomes complete. What is empty becomes full. When you recognize that you are not enough on your own, you open up the space for something greater to act through you. In that apparent lack, all possibility is born. If you think you already know everything, you cannot learn anything. If you think you are already perfect, you cannot grow. Your lack of something is the invitation for the universe to give you everything. Do you know why you feel insufficient?
Because you are looking at the useful branches of other people's trees through a screen. You see the success of one, the family of another, the travels of that one, and you build an image of sufficiency that is a Frankenstein of the best parts of 1,000 different people. It is a race that never has a finish line, and therefore you will never feel satisfied. The system needs you to feel insufficient to sell you solutions. They sell you creams for your physical insufficiency, courses for your professional insufficiency, and apps for your emotional insufficiency. The modern economy would collapse if tomorrow we all woke up feeling sufficient. Taoism offers you an emergency exit, the detachment of identity. The useless tree in the story didn't compare itself to the fruit tree. It didn't feel envy because the fruit tree gave apples and it didn't. It simply was. Its wealth was its own existence, not its production. When you stop comparing yourself, insufficiency disappears because you realize that insufficient only exists in relation to an external standard that you did not choose.
There is a concept that your ego is going to hate: the glory of mediocrity. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not asking you to be careless or lazy. I'm asking you to stop striving to be someone. In Taoism, true mastery is wu wei, effortless action. And nothing requires more effort than trying to maintain an image of perfection. It is exhausting. It's like trying to hold up an iron mask with tired hands for decades. What would happen if today you decided it was okay not to stand out? What would happen if you accepted that you are an unworked block of wood, as Lao Tzu said? An unworked block is nothing special, but it has all possible forms within it. By being insufficient for one specific form, you preserve your infinite potential. You can decide what to do or who to be without the opinions of others whispering in your ear. You don't have to satisfy others' expectations. You don't have to fulfill others' desires. You don't have to look good for others. The wealth of insufficiency is the freedom to fail. It is the freedom to change your mind. It is the freedom to be a mess on a Tuesday morning and not feel like the world is ending. When you have nothing to prove, no one can defeat you. Let's go back to the tree. The useful trees, the ones with straight, perfect wood, are the first ones humans cut down to make beams. The ones with branches that bend, that are twisted, that have knots and scars, those are the ones nobody wants. And because of that, they live for 1,000 years. Your vulnerability is your armor. When you show your cracks, when you admit your insufficiency, you stop being a target for attack. There is nothing the world can take from someone who has already accepted they have nothing to protect. The rigidity of perfection is what makes people break when a crisis hits. The flexibility of insufficiency is what allows you to bend before tragedy and stand back up when the sun rises. Do you feel insufficient today? Celebrate. It means you are flexible. It means you are still living wood and not a dead beam holding up someone else's roof. At the end of the day, you only have two paths. You can keep trying to be the useful tree. You can keep polishing your surface, hiding your knots, and offering your fruit until there is nothing left inside you. You can be perfect for the world and completely empty inside. Or you can choose the wealth of insufficiency. You can accept that you are that twisted, giant oak that is no good for making furniture, but offers the deepest shade in the whole valley. You can choose to be useless to the expectations of others, and in that space be immensely rich in peace, in time, and in authenticity. Insufficiency is not a void that needs to be filled. It is a frontier that needs to be inhabited. It is the place where you stop being a tool and start being a human being. Tell me in the comments, what is that imperfection or that insufficiency that you are going to stop trying to fix today and start enjoying instead? I'll read your responses. Because your story
with all its knots and twisted branches, is the one worth hearing. Thank you for allowing yourself this moment of stillness. Subscribe if you seek a refuge of clarity amidst the constant noise. Until next time.